Good morning.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Andrea. It's good to meet you today.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
Oh, it's good. It's good. So, where were you born and raised?
I grew up in Springfield, Mass., a small town in western Massachusetts.
What was it like growing up there?
Very homogenous group of people. I was with the same fellow students for 12 years, same neighborhood, same.
Homogeneous.
Too small.
Was it a small town, big town?
It's a small city. I think it was around 120,000.
Any big cities nearby?
Boston was a couple of hours away, where I never went, except for cousins. New York was 3 hours away, where I occasionally went for my birthday, once or twice, but we were not a moving family.
What was your family like?
They were like, be at dinner every night, same time, same place, 4 kids, 2 parents.
And you were, were you the oldest, the youngest?
I was the oldest.
So you were the firstborn?
Right.
Did you have to take a lot of responsibility for your younger siblings?
No, I tried to avoid them. They were boys.
You were the only girl?
Eventually the second girl arrived, but I was already 12.
Oh, you were already 12 by that point.
Yeah.
What was your experience in Massachusetts? Do you go back much?
I still go back every once in a while. I have a lot of my textiles stored there. But growing up, I only wanted to leave and go far away.
And how far away did you get at first?
Not very far at first.
Because you went to Brown for?
Yeah, I went to college at Brown in Rhode Island, not far away.
What was Brown your first choice? Is that where you wanted to go?
I wanted to go to RISD because I thought I would like to study art, and particularly fashion.
Mm-hmm.
But that was disallowed. So we picked a school that was near RISD. And then, as it turned out, I hung out quite a bit at RISD, but I didn't do art classes there. I did them at Brown.
Mm-hmm. What did you study at Brown?
I studied cultural history.
Did you have a thesis or a focus, or?
I was interested in popular culture even then. So, and Brown's department was quite limited geographically. There was a 1-year course that purported to cover all of Asian history. India, China, and Japan in 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing in South America, it was very Eurocentric at that time. I think that's changed.
And this was Brown in the 70s and the
60s.
In the 60s.
Yeah, I finished Brown in 1967. I
67.
graduated.
So did the hippie movement come into play quite yet?
Yeah, I think we saw some Beatles and some hippies and some protests while we were there.
And you studied art while you were at Brown as well?
No, not very much. I took studio courses and I studied history.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What were the attitudes like at Brown?
Well, Brown for me was good because I met kids who came from really different backgrounds, and then I met some kids who had traveled. I think the first real textiles I saw were from Guatemala when a friend went there for the summer. So it was like, okay, this is the real world.
Mm-hmm.
There are other things out there. I just have to find a way to move to see them.
Did you study abroad at all at Brown?
Sorry?
Did you study?
No, I didn't study abroad. I was there for the 4 years. I took a summer in San Francisco doing studio courses at Berkeley.
Oh, wow.
But that was the limits of the travel.
And you wanted to study art before you went to Brown?
I always liked to do fashion. I did fashion. I was making clothes from when I was very small, and I was making clothes to raise money while I was in high school, and while I was at Brown I was making leather clothes, and I like dressing. I like fashion. But
do you remember the first piece of clothing that you made? Or?
I don't remember the first ones, but because Boston in those days was a shoemaking town, I could go to Boston and I could get leather from jobbers, shoe jobbers. So that's where I got my leather.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was one summer while I was at college, I made leather clothes in Cape Cod in a sandal shop, corner of the room. And I liked making clothes.
You were in Cape Cod one summer?
Yeah.
As far out as Provincetown, or?
No, I was in Hyannis for that summer. I think
Really?
I was there more than once, but that leather making gig was Hyannis.
So you wanted to study fashion, but they wouldn't, your parents?
Yeah, they said, that's a passing phase, please get a bachelor's degree. We've gotten degrees, you get degrees. You'll probably grow out of it while you're getting degrees. And then, in fact, it was good to study history, cultural history. I learned how to write big papers and research. So, in the end, everything you do plays into who you are. At the time, I wasn't that happy with it, but it worked out.
It worked out. What do you think you took away from your experience at Brown?
Well, I learned to write papers, long papers, big research. Many clothes were made. I had 2 sewing machines, a really tiny room and 2 sewing machines. And damn, it was over. 4 years went really fast.
And then what happened after you graduated?
After I graduated, I moved to New York
Uh-huh.
and did proofreading for a publisher for a year. And then I realized it was going to take a long time to get into a position where I was going to be editing history books. So I went back to fashion.
But you wanted to edit history books? That was
Yeah, because when I was at Brown, I thought, damn, history's so interesting. It's nothing like high school where you just have to learn dates and wars and political stuff. There are these other phases of history. If I wrote books, I would put a different emphasis on it, and tell the story of popular culture from a popular level, not a general's level, and then it would be meaningful to so many more people.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a revelation, and I thought it would be good to work on a different presentation of history. But the publishing world is very frozen, I saw it. Could probably do proofreading for 10 years and then copywriting for 20 years, and then maybe I could, I was always very impatient.
So fashion seemed quicker or easier at that moment?
Fashion's just natural for me. I love dressing, and then I like dressing other people, and it was very spontaneous, intuitive, and easy, and kind of good response. And
One day you just quit your copywriting job and you knew what happened?
yeah, I was living with my boyfriend, and he got tired of all the sewing machines in the house, and he said, okay, I saw this storefront around the corner. It was in the East Village. Just rent a storefront, do it there. You don't have to open a store, but, too many sewing machines near my bed.
Mm-hmm.
So I rented that shop front, and then because I was there and I had a window, I put something in the window, and then it was like, wow, moved right away. It was the rock and roll time.
What was the store called?
Dakota Transit.
Dakota Transit?
Yeah.
Where did that name come from?
We just dreamed it up one night. I liked the way it looked visually with these letters and type from the 30s and these very round shapes, and then transit. This was like a moving time. We were the youth quake of the 60s. We thought everything was in transition with us at the forefront.
Because you were young in your 20s and the Lower East Side in the 60s and early 70s?
Yeah, it was a very happening place. And as I said, it happened around me and with me, and it was fast, it was entertaining, it was quite good.
What did your store specialize in?
Well, I continued to make leather goods when I had that store, but very early on I also was using snakeskin, very flashy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went mostly into snakeskin. Jimi Hendrix came in and he saw the skins, which I'd just been applying to leather clothes, but he said, I think a totally snakeskin suit would be like very nice thing to wear. So from then, it was a lot about snakeskins, and I had many colors available. Again, from jobbers, I'd buy these small dye lots. And copra was used quite a bit for shoes and bags then, and you could have like, I had cubby holes of, just by color. It was really nice. So I made a lot of patchwork creations, collages.
Were you the only person doing snakeskin in New York at that time?
I think I hadn't seen anybody else doing it, so I was probably early on it.
Jimi Hendrix came in. Did anybody else of noteworthy status?
Oh yeah, everybody came in. Yeah, but it was good times. We were just near the Fillmore, it was the Lower East Side. People came to interview me on the new meaning of what is funky, we got a lot of press. It was good.
What was the Lower East Side like back in the 60s and 70s?
It was pretty seedy, but a lot of small shops like mine. The rents were low in these little shops, so people tried out new ideas.
Do you remember the location of that store?
Yeah, it was on East 9th Street between 1st and 2nd.
Oh, wow. That's St. Mark's now? East 9th? No.
It's just a block from St. Mark's. St. Mark's is 8th.
Okay. Love that area.
Yeah, it's still kind of the same. These small shops and people trying out single ideas and trying things out.
Did you feel pretty successful? Did that?
It was very successful, I loved seeing my stuff in Vogue and Harper's Bazaar. And this, the money was different then. That's the main thing, I try and explain to kids now. It was like full employment. You could quit a job and pick up another job the next day, and people had money, and these music people especially had money. So I had the feeling that I could make the greatest stuff, the most inventive. There were no limits, and if it was good, somebody would come in and buy it. That happened all the time. Or I'd have customers who would stretch me out to the limits, say, what about this? You always smoke Lucky Strike. Could you incorporate Lucky Strike logo in my jacket? Yes, of course, I'll try that. So it was like I had these creative people who were goading me into trying more and more stuff, and it was quite nice.
How long was the store open for?
I kept it open 4 years.
So from 69 to...
Yeah, I think I closed in 73.
What caused it to close?
Well, I had a change in lifestyle because I had a young kid who could no longer just be hanging out at the studio, and I had to come to a point where either I was going to hire somebody to take care of him during the day, or I was going to leave town, because I figured the third option, being myself staying home in an apartment all day with a little kid, was not practical.
So you had your first child?
Yeah.
And who was...
He was born in 71, Shad, Caleb's brother. Yeah.
And was this your first husband? Or?
It was, yeah.
Okay. And so you decided to close down shop?
Well, I always wanted to live abroad, but for my husband's commitments, we had to wait because he couldn't do that. And then at the end of the commitment, he didn't really want to move abroad. So, he didn't want to move. He liked it there. He was good.
What was he doing in New York?
He was doing a little rock and roll reporting, stuff like around music.
You were making fashion for the music people, and he was reporting on the people?
Yeah, not the same people, but it was that rock and roll moment.
Yeah. What drew you to leather and snakeskin?
I liked it because of the variety of colors that were available,
Mm-hmm.
and I like skins. But in retrospect, it might have also been something about, it's not being cloth. There's no giving. There's no right angles. It's like very free form.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend who's a weaver, and when she went to Murano in Italy and spent a week there with glassmakers, she came back saying that, and I thought, oh yeah, that's right. She said, I like it because glass is free. It's not right angles, and it's not rigid, and it's not linear in any way. It's just, and I think that's the way you can use leather too, or skins. I'd done a lot with cloth by then. I grew up sewing my own clothes.
Uh-huh. So in your shop, you would make suits. You would make.
Yeah, we made suits. We made accessories. We made stuff with feathers. A little bit of beading.
Uh-huh. What kind of music did you listen to when you lived in New York?
Me, I like jazz.